The government-issued Verilan integration manual landed in Holden Riker's recycling bin 3 seconds after it arrived in his mailbox. 6 government notices, 2 final warnings, and 1 official visit from a stone-faced compliance officer later. Holden found himself grudgingly scanning the apartment's entry system at 7:32 a.m. on a Monday morning, nursing the kind of hangover that made the fluorescent hallway lights feel like ice picks to his retinas. Identification confirmed. Riker Holden J. Verilan Cultural Exchange, specialist arrival scheduled for 800 hours. Prepare for mandatory integration. Yeah, Holden muttered, shuffling back inside his apartment. Prepare for mandatory is more like it. The coffee maker hissed and sputtered as Holden leaned against the counter, staring at the welcome to the future of peaceful coexistence poster the compliance officer had slapped on his wall. The image showed a purple-skinned Velian female with an anatomically improbable figure serving tea to a beaming human family. Everyone looked deliriously happy about the arrangement. Everyone except the artist who'd clearly been forced to draw this propaganda at gunpoint. Holden's gaze drifted to the window. Beyond the smudged glass, Neo-Chicago stretched in a jungle of steel and glass, the morning sun reflecting off buildings plastered with even more integration posters. Unity through proximity, declared one massive billboard featuring a suspiciously attractive human man with his arm around a Velian woman whose uniform resembled lingerie more than workwear. Cultural exchange specialist my ass, Holden muttered, pouring coffee into a chipped mug that read, I survived the Velian War, and all I got was this lousy alien invasion. A gag gift from Marcus last Christmas that had stopped being funny around the time the Treaty of New Geneva was ratified. His communication bracelet buzzed. Marcus's holographic face appeared, sporting the same sardonic grin he'd worn since college. Today's the day, man, getting your very own purple playmate. Holden scowled. It's too early for this, Mark. Come on, this is historic. The great Holden Riker, who spent the entire war saying, and I quote, I'd rather eat my own foot than live with one of those purple freaks, is about to get his very own living alien. It's government-mandated babysitting, not a dadding service. Marcus's hologram wiggled its eyebrows. Tell that to half the office. Johnson's basically engaged to his, and Peterson hasn't shown up to work for 3 days. His status updates suggest he's thoroughly enjoying cultural exchange. That's disgusting, Holden took a swig of coffee, and disturbing. Don't these people realize we were at war with them like 5 minutes ago? 3 years, 2 months, and 11 days, but who's counting? Marcus said. Listen, I've been hearing some weird stuff about these arrangements, nothing concrete, but... The apartment's chime interrupted, a 3-note sequence that froze Holden mid-sip. Looks like your date's early, Marcus said with a grin. Call me later, assuming you still remember how to operate technology after your mind is blown. The hologram disappeared before Holden could respond. The chimes sounded again. Crap, Holden muttered, glancing down at his wrinkled t-shirt and sweatpants. He'd planned to at least put on a proper shirt before his alien overlord arrived. Whatever. Not like he was trying to impress the intergalactic hall monitor. He trudged to the door, bracing himself for some stern, uniform-clad official with a clipboard and condescending attitude. The door slid open. Holy, Holden breathed. Standing in his doorway was 6 feet of shimmering purple perfection. The Velian female wore what could only generously be described as a uniform, a form-fitting silver outfit that clung to curves that defied both gravity and Holden's ability to maintain eye contact. Her brown hair cascaded down her back in a metallic waterfall, and when she tilted her head to examine him, her pink eyes with their vertical pupils seemed to peer straight through his hangover into his soul. Greetings, human designated as Holden Riker, she said, her voice like liquid velvet with an accent that somehow made English sound exotic. I am Zara, your assigned cultural exchange specialist. I have arrived to facilitate mutual understanding and harmony between our species. She extended a slender purple hand. Holden stared at it, then back at her face, then at the impossible narrowness of her waist compared to the generous proportions of her. It is customary to respond with a greeting and physical contact, Zara prompted, her pink eyes widening slightly. Have I misunderstood human protocols? Holden cleared his throat. No, sorry, hi, I'm Holden. He awkwardly took her hand, surprised by the warmth of her skin. For some reason, he'd expected aliens to be cold. Your dwelling is now subject to Provision 341B of the Treaty of New Geneva, Zara continued, walking past him into the apartment without waiting for an invitation. She carried a small silver case that hovered beside her. I am authorized to establish residence and begin immersive cultural integration immediately. Holden blinked, the door closing automatically behind them. Wait, immediately? Don't I get some kind of orientation or training or something? Zara turned, her movements fluid and graceful. The manual provided detailed instructions. Did you not read it? The manual currently lining his recycling bin. I skimmed it. Then I will summarize. I am here to live with you, learn human customs, and teach you Velian ways. This achieves what your leaders call grassroots diplomacy and what my people call surveillance through intimacy. Holden choked on air. I'm sorry, what? Zara blinked slowly, like a cat. That was an attempt at your human humor. I have been studying it extensively. Right, Holden said, unconvinced. Listen, I'm not really set up for house guests, especially not permanent ones. Your accommodation status was verified as adequate by government inspection. Zara began walking around the apartment, her pink eyes scanning everything. Though I note several violations of basic hygiene protocols. Hey, it's not that bad, Holden protested, suddenly conscious of the dirty dishes in the sink and the clothes scattered across the sofa. I wasn't expecting company. My arrival was communicated 6 weeks ago, Zara said, running a finger along a dusty shelf and examining it with scientific curiosity. Your preparation was mandatory. Yeah, well, I've been busy. Doing what? The directness of the question caught him off guard. Working, living, normal human stuff. Zara nodded as if this confirmed something. Your reluctance is noted in your file. Many humans display initial resistance to integration. Statistical analysis indicates 94.3% adapt positively within 14 days. And the other 5.7%. Zara's expression remained neutral. Are relocated for specialized integration assistance. Something about the way she said, relocated, sent a chill down Holden's spine. He'd heard rumors about adjustment centers for integration resistors, nothing confirmed, of course. The news channels were as sanitized as the government propaganda posters, but enough whispered stories to make him uneasy. Fine, he said, forcing a smile. Welcome to my humble abode, mi casa is casa, or whatever the Velian equivalent is. We have no equivalent phrase. Velian property concepts do not include temporary transference of ownership rights through verbal declaration. Zara moved to the center of the living room, her hovering case following her. I will now reconfigure this space to accommodate dual-species habitation. Before Holden could object, Zara pressed a button on her wrist device. The case beside her expanded, unfolding like some kind of alien transformer until it formed what looked like a sleek purple pod about the size of a small couch. What the hell is that? Holden asked. My rest chamber, Zara replied. Verlands require specific atmospheric conditions during sleep cycles. And you're putting it in the middle of my living room. Proximity is essential for proper integration. Holden ran a hand through his disheveled hair. Look, I have a spare room. It's small and I use it for storage, but... Separate sleeping quarters contradicts Integration Directive 17, Zara interrupted. Maximum distance between human and Velian residents must not exceed 12 meters during rest cycles. That's insane. What about privacy? Zara tilted her head. Privacy? This concept appears frequently in human complaints. Your species has unusual attachment to solitary activities. It's not unusual, it's normal. People need their own space. Space surrounds us in abundance, Zara said, gesturing vaguely upward. Yet humans insist on artificial boundaries within shared environments. Holden opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. It was too early in the morning, and he was too hungover for a philosophical debate about personal space with an alien. Fine, but can we at least move it against the wall instead of right in the middle of everything? Zara considered this for a moment, then nodded. Acceptable compromise. With that minor victory achieved, Holden retreated to the kitchen to refill his coffee. When he returned, he found Zara methodically rearranging his living room furniture, moving his sofa at an odd angle and repositioning his entertainment center. "What are you doing now?" he asked. "Adjusting the energy flow of your dwelling," Zara explained, lifting a heavy chair with surprising ease. "Your furniture arrangement creates disharmonious vibrations." My furniture arrangement was perfectly fine. It violated 7 principles of Velian spatial harmony. This isn't a Velian apartment. Zara straightened, fixing him with those unsettling pink eyes. The treaty stipulates cultural exchange must be reciprocal. You will learn our ways as we learn yours. Holden took a long sip of coffee, counting to 10 in his head. Right, cultural exchange. So what human customs are you embracing today? I have already adopted your inefficient bipedal locomotion style, despite my species' capability for levitation. Holden nearly spat out his coffee. You can fly. We can manipulate gravitational fields to achieve vertical displacement, Zara clarified. But we avoid this ability on Earth to prevent human discomfort and envy. How considerate, Holden muttered. He checked the time on his bracelet and cursed. Look, I have to get ready for work. Can we pause the apartment makeover until I get back? You intend to leave? Zara asked, sounding genuinely surprised. Yes, that's what humans do on Monday mornings. We go to soul-crushing jobs to pay off crippling debt. Your integration schedule allocates the first 3 days to intensive acclimatization. My what now? Your employer was notified. You have been granted mandatory integration leave. Holden stared at her. No, nobody told me that. It was on page 43 of the manual, Zara said. The manual currently compressed into a recycling cube. Fantastic. Great, Holden sighed. 3 days trapped in my apartment with... He caught himself before saying something that might get him relocated, with new cultural experiences. Zara's lips curved in what might have been an attempt at a smile. I have prepared extensive activities to familiarize you with Velian customs. Something about the way she said activities made Holden deeply suspicious. What kind of activities are we talking about? First, a proper cleansing ritual. Zara gestured toward the bathroom. Your pheromone output indicates suboptimal hygiene practices. Are you saying I smell bad? Your natural human scent is distinctive. The shower will help. I can shower by myself, thanks. Velian cleansing is a communal. Nope, Holden interrupted, backing toward the bathroom. That's definitely where I draw the line. Some customs are not meant to be exchanged. I'll shower alone like a normal, privacy-loving human. Zara looked disappointed but nodded. As you wish, I will continue harmonizing the dwelling. 15 minutes later, Holden emerged from the bathroom feeling marginally more human, wrapped in a towel and heading for his bedroom to get dressed. He stopped cold when he realized Zara was standing directly in his path, examining something in her hands. What are you? He broke off when he recognized the object. Are those my underwear? The fabric composition is inefficient for proper ventilation, Zara observed, stretching the waistband of his boxers. Verulan undergarments are woven with microscopic breathing channels. Holden snatched the boxers from her hands. Rule 1 of human customs, don't touch other people's underwear. Noted, Zara said, seemingly unperturbed. Her pink eyes drifted downward to the towel around his waist. Your coverings appear to be secured by precarious means. Holden clutched the towel tighter. My bedroom, I need to excuse me. He attempted to sidestep her, but Zara matched his movement. Your heart rate has increased, she observed. Are you experiencing stress? Yes, because you're blocking me from getting dressed. Physical responses to Velian proximity often include elevated heart rate, Zara continued, as if he hadn't spoken. Other symptoms include pupil dilation and increased blood flow too. Please move, Holden interrupted desperately. Zara stepped aside, watching him with scientific interest as he practically dove into his bedroom. The door slid shut behind him, and he leaned against it, breathing hard. This is insane, he muttered to himself. Completely insane. Holden emerged from the bedroom 15 minutes later, dressed in his work uniform, despite the apparent integration leave he'd been granted without his knowledge. The synthetic fabric of the Neo-Chicago data systems jumpsuit clung uncomfortably to his still-damp skin as he steeled himself to face his new purple roommate. He found Zara examining his kitchen with the focused intensity of an archaeologist discovering an ancient civilization. Your food preparation area lacks standard sanitization features, she observed without turning around, her vivid pink eyes' vertical pupils contracting in the kitchen's harsh light as they scanned his neglected dishes. It's called a kitchen and it's fine, Holden said, grabbing his bag. Listen, mandatory leave or not, I need to go to work. Some of us have crushing student debt that won't pay itself off. Zara turned, her brown hair swishing hypnotically. The Mandatory Alien Domestic Integration Act clearly specifies. I know what MADIA says, Holden interrupted. Every human household must accept a Velian cultural exchange specialist, which is just government doublespeak for alien maid we lost a war to. But it doesn't say I have to like it or stay home for it. I am not a maid, Zara said, her pink eyes narrowing slightly. I am a highly trained cultural integration facilitator with specializations in xenobiology, human psychology, and domestic harmonization. Fancy title for someone who is just reorganizing my underwear drawer. Your organizational system was inefficient, she responded, and your undergarments show signs of excessive wear that may compromise their functionality. Holden felt heat creep up his neck. My underwear's functionality is none of your business. A soft chime from the apartment's communication system interrupted their banter. Holden's stomach sank as the screen displayed Integration Compliance Division. Perfect, he muttered. The alien babysitters are checking in already. The screen flickered to life, revealing a severe-looking woman with her hair pulled back so tightly it seemed to function as a natural facelift. Citizen Riker, I am Officer Grant with Integration Compliance. Our sensors indicate your assigned Velian specialist has arrived. Has integration commenced satisfactorily? Before Holden could answer, Zara stepped into view. Greetings, officer. Integration has begun, though Citizen Riker displays resistance to basic Velian spatial harmony principles and has expressed intention to violate mandatory acclimation protocol by reporting to work. Officer Grant's eyebrows rose. Is this correct, Citizen Riker? Holden shot Zara an irritated glance. I wasn't informed about any acclimation leave until she told me this morning. The information was clearly provided in your integration manual. Grant replied with the weariness of someone who'd heard this excuse 100 times before. Write the manual, Holden said, avoiding mention of its current compressed state. Look, I can't afford to miss work. Your debt restructuring penalties have been temporarily suspended as per Section 23 of MADIA, Grant interrupted. All financial institutions are required to accommodate integration periods. Failure to comply with integration protocols, however, carries its own penalties, including possible relocation to an intensive integration facility. The threat hung in the air. Holden had heard whispered rumors about those facilities, somewhere between a prison and a brainwashing center, if the stories could be believed. Fine, he conceded. 3 days of integration. Officer Grant's severe expression softened into something almost resembling a smile. Excellent. Our statistics show that 92% of humans report high satisfaction with their Velian companions after the initial adjustment period. The government encourages an open mind toward all aspects of cultural exchange. Something about the way she emphasized all aspects made Holden deeply uncomfortable. Initial resistance is common but ultimately futile. Grant continued in what was probably meant to be a reassuring tone. Integration compliance officers will conduct random check-ins during your acclimation period. Remember, your cooperation ensures continued harmony between our species. The screen went dark before Holden could respond. Well, that was ominous, he muttered, dropping his bag. Officer Grant is known for her efficiency, Zara remarked. Now that your attendance has been confirmed, we can proceed with the first integration activity. Which is what exactly? More furniture rearranging, underwear evaluation, invasive personal questions. Food preparation, Zara said, moving toward the kitchen. I will introduce you to traditional Verulan nutrition. For the next hour, Holden watched in reluctant fascination as Zara transformed his kitchen into what looked like a chemistry lab. She produced various vials and packets from seemingly nowhere, mixing iridescent powders with liquids that changed color when they touched. Is that even edible? Holden asked as she poured a shimmering blue substance into what had been his coffee mug. It provides optimal nutrition and enhances neural connectivity, Zara explained, adding something that made the mixture turn purple. Many humans report increased energy and sensory awareness after adapting to Verulan diets. I'll stick with coffee, thanks. Caffeine is an inefficient stimulant that creates dependency cycles, Zara said disapprovingly. This alternative provides superior benefits without negative side effects. Against his better judgment, Holden accepted the mug when she offered it. The liquid inside had settled into a deep purple that matched Zara's skin. He sniffed it cautiously. It smelled like cinnamon and something else he couldn't identify. It won't poison you, Zara said, watching him with those disconcerting pink eyes. Toxicity testing was completed before we arrived on Earth. That's reassuring, Holden said, taking a tentative sip. To his surprise, it wasn't terrible, something like spiced tea with an aftertaste of berries. Huh. Your expression indicates surprise at the pleasant flavor, Zara observed. Humans often expect our consumables to be unpalatable. Well, you have to admit the whole glowing, color-changing thing doesn't exactly scream delicious. Visual aesthetics of food vary widely between cultures, Zara said, taking the mug back from him and sipping from the exact spot his lips had touched. There was something strangely intimate about the gesture that made Holden look away. The rest of the morning passed in a blur of increasingly bizarre integration activities. Zara taught him Velian meditation techniques that involved impossible postures, introduced him to a musical instrument that played different notes depending on the emotional state of the person touching it. Holden produced exclusively discordant sounds, and attempted to educate him on the complex political hierarchy of her home world. By afternoon, Holden's head was swimming with information he hadn't asked for and would never need. He collapsed onto his couch, now positioned at what Zara assured him was the optimal angle for energy flow, and checked his communication bracelet. 3 messages from Marcus, all variations on how's alien life treating you. Your attention has shifted to external communication, Zara noted, sitting beside him with absolutely no regard for personal space, her thigh pressed against his, radiating a warmth that seemed a few degrees above human body temperature. Just checking messages, Holden said, trying to subtly create some distance between them. The couch suddenly seemed much smaller than he remembered. Social connections are important for human psychological health, Zara said, leaning closer to examine his bracelet. Her brown hair brushed against his arm, sending an unexpected shiver through him. Though many integration subjects report decreased interest in previous social groups as adaptation progresses. Something about her phrasing bothered him. Integration subjects? You make it sound like we're all part of some experiment. Zara blinked those striking pink eyes. All new cultural paradigms require data collection and analysis. Your responses are valuable. To whom exactly? To mutual understanding between our species, she replied smoothly. Holden wasn't convinced. This entire setup had felt off from the beginning. Why would an advanced alien species agree to serve as glorified housekeepers for the humans they just defeated in war? The propaganda line about cultural exchange was clearly garbage, but what was the real agenda? "I need to make a call," he said, standing abruptly. "Privately." Zara tilted her head. Privacy during communication contradicts Integration Protocol 22B, which encourages transparency between. "I need to use the bathroom," Holden amended, knowing she couldn't reasonably follow him there. "Human biological necessity, very urgent." Once safely locked in the bathroom, Holden activated his bracelet and called Marcus. "Well, if it isn't the man with the new alien roommate." Marcus's holographic face appeared, grinning. "How's domestic life with the purple princess?" "It's insane," Holden whispered, glancing at the door. "She rearranged my entire apartment, went through my underwear drawer, and made me drink something that changed colors. And now I'm apparently on mandatory leave for 3 days of integration." Marcus laughed. "Sounds about right." Johnson's Velian reorganized his entire music collection by vibrational harmony instead of alphabetically. He was pissed until she started wearing those regulation uniforms. Have you seen the uniform? It's like they designed them specifically to make human men lose their minds. "Focus, Marcus. This whole thing is weird, right? Why would an advanced species that just kicked our asses in an interstellar war agree to become glorified housekeepers?" Marcus's holographic face grew serious. "That's what I was trying to tell you this morning. I've been hearing things at work, rumors about what happens after the initial integration period." "What kind of rumors?" "Nothing concrete. People go quiet when I ask directly, but haven't you noticed how many of our coworkers with Verlands have suddenly become super pro-alien? Alvarez used to have a victory over Verland bumper sticker, and now he's talking about taking a vacation to their home planet." A soft knock at the bathroom door made Holden jump. "Human Holden," Zara's voice came through the door. "Your biological function is taking an unusually long time. Do you require medical assistance?" "Just a minute," he called back, then whispered to Marcus. "I have to go, but dig deeper on this, okay? Something doesn't add up." "Will do, and Holden, be careful, man." Johnson's Veriland moved her sleep pod thing into his bedroom after the first week. They start in the living room, but they don't stay there. The call ended, leaving Holden staring at his reflection in the mirror. Dark circles under his eyes testified to the stress of the day, and it wasn't even dinner time yet. When he emerged from the bathroom, Zara was standing much closer to the door than he expected, making him stumble backward in surprise. "Your communication in private violated protocol," she said, her pink eyes unnervingly direct. "Future violations may be reported to integration compliance." "I was using the toilet," Holden lied, "unless you want a detailed report on that, too." "Unnecessary," she replied, turning away. "The next integration activity involves introduction to Veriland entertainment forms." Velian entertainment, it turned out, consisted mainly of what Holden could only describe as interpretive dance combined with mathematical equations. He sat through an hour of Zara demonstrating elaborate movements that supposedly represented the foundational principles of interstellar travel before claiming exhaustion and retreating to the kitchen for the sanctuary of cold human beer. By evening, Holden's patience had worn dangerously thin. Zara had rearranged his book collection by color rather than author, explained the molecular composition of his furniture in excruciating detail, and attempted to teach him a Velian greeting ritual that involved touching foreheads and synchronized breathing. "I think that's enough integration for one day," he said as Zara began explaining the importance of proper light spectrum exposure before sleep. "I'm going to order some very human, very unhealthy takeout and watch some mind-numbing entertainment." "Your diet requires significant improvement," Zara observed. "Velian nutritional principles could extend your lifespan by approximately 23.7 years. "Quality over quantity," Holden retorted, pulling up the delivery app on his bracelet. "Do aliens eat pizza?" "We can process most Earth foods, though they lack optimal nutrient configurations." Holden ordered the largest, greasiest pizza available, partly out of hunger and partly out of petty rebellion against Velian nutritional principles. While waiting for the delivery, he turned on the entertainment screen, flipping to a pre-war action movie about humans heroically fighting off an alien invasion. It was pure propaganda, of course, but it felt satisfying in a childish way. Zara watched with evident curiosity. Your fictional entertainment contains significant factual errors regarding interspecies combat capabilities. That's kind of the point, Holden said, sinking deeper into the couch. It's fantasy, humans beating aliens instead of, whatever this is. He gestured vaguely between them. You find the current arrangement unsatisfactory, Zara stated, not a question. I find being forced to host an alien who reorganizes my underwear drawer unsatisfactory, yes. The arrangement is equally mandatory for Verlands, Zara said, her tone shifting slightly. Not all of us volunteered for Earth assignment. That caught Holden off guard. You didn't want to come here. My preferences were irrelevant. I was selected based on compatibility metrics with your psychological profile. Wait, what? You were matched to me specifically. All placements are determined by algorithmic compatibility assessment, Zara explained. Factors include temperament, intelligence quotient, physical attributes, and pheromone compatibility. Pheromone compatibility, Holden repeated, uncomfortable with the implications. Why would that matter for cultural exchange? Zara's pink eyes seemed to glow brighter in the dimming light of the apartment. Mutual comfort facilitates integration. The pizza arrived before Holden could press further, and they ate in relative silence, watching as fictional humans on the screen improbably defeated an alien force with significantly superior technology. Zara made occasional comments about the physical impossibility of certain scenes, but otherwise seemed content to observe human entertainment customs. As the evening wore on, Holden noticed subtle changes in Zara's behavior. She moved closer to him on the couch, her normally perfect posture relaxing slightly. The apartment seemed warmer than usual, and there was a faint, sweet scent in the air that he couldn't identify but found strangely appealing. Your integration participation today has been adequate, Zara said as the movie ended, her voice sounding slightly different, deeper perhaps. Tomorrow we will progress to more advanced exchange activities. Can't wait, Holden replied sarcastically, standing and stretching. I'm going to bed, alone, he added pointedly, in my bedroom with the door locked. Sleep is essential for neural processing of new information, Zara agreed, rising gracefully. In the low light, her purple skin seemed to emit a subtle glow, and her pink eyes were definitely brighter than they had been earlier. Are you feeling okay? Holden asked despite himself. You look different. I am experiencing optimal functionality, Zara replied, though her breathing seemed slightly faster than normal. Night cycle adaptation may cause perceptible changes in Velian physiology. Right, well, good night then. Holden retreated to his bedroom, locking the door behind him. He lay awake for hours, listening to subtle movements in the living room as Zara presumably settled into her sleep pod. The faint, sweet scent seemed to have followed him, making it difficult to focus on anything else. When he finally drifted off to sleep, his dreams were vivid and unsettling, all shimmering purple skin and glowing pink eyes. He woke abruptly at 3:17 a.m., his apartment eerily silent. Something had disturbed his sleep, though he couldn't identify what. The sweet scent from earlier was stronger now, almost intoxicating. Holden sat up, surprised to find himself covered in sweat despite the apartment's climate control. A soft light glowed from beneath his bedroom door, not the normal ambient illumination, but something pulsing and organic. Against his better judgment, Holden slipped out of bed and approached the door. Zara, he called softly, is everything okay out there? No response came, but the light pulsed brighter. Holden hesitated, then unlocked the door and cautiously pushed it open. The living room had transformed. Zara's sleep pod was open, emitting the pulsing light that bathed the room in a soft pink glow. The sweet scent was overwhelming now, making Holden's head swim and his heart race. But it was Zara herself that stopped him in his tracks. She stood in the center of the room, her brown hair floating around her as if underwater, her purple skin shimmering with luminescent patterns that shifted and flowed. Her pink eyes blazed with an internal light, pupils fully dilated. The regulation uniform was gone, replaced by something that seemed to be made of living light that clung to her curves like a second skin. "Human," she said, her voice resonating strangely in the air between them. "My mating season has begun." Holden stumbled backward, his hand gripping the door frame to steady himself. The sight of Zara transformed and glowing, her brown hair floating in some invisible current, sent a rush of conflicting emotions through him. Alarm, confusion, and a primal attraction he couldn't suppress. "You're what has begun," he managed, though he'd heard her perfectly. "Mating season," Zara repeated, her voice carrying harmonics that seemed to vibrate through his bones. "A biological imperative that occurs every 7th lunar cycle of my home world. I had calculated it would not begin until after my Earth assignment concluded." She drifted, not walked, but actually drifted, closer to him. "I was incorrect." Holden backed into his bedroom, putting distance between them. "That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem." "It is an us problem," Zara corrected, stopping at the threshold of his room as if encountering an invisible barrier, her pink eyes pulsing with internal light. "Velian mating cycles, once initiated, require completion. The physiological and neurochemical changes are significant." "Right," Holden said, grabbing a shirt and pulling it on. "I'm calling integration compliance. They can send a replacement or something." "There are no replacements during active cycles," Zara said. Her normally clinical tone had acquired a husky quality that sent involuntary shivers down Holden's spine. "And compliance has already been notified of my status." As if on cue, the apartment's communication system chimed. Holden edged past Zara, carefully avoiding contact with her glowing skin, and made his way to the living room. Officer Grant's face appeared on the screen, looking irritatingly chipper for 3:30 a.m. "Citizen Riker," she said briskly, "our monitoring systems have detected Specialist Zara has entered reproductive phase. Congratulations on this development in your cultural exchange experience." "Congratulations," Holden sputtered. "She's lit up like a nightclub and talking about mating seasons. This isn't in the manual." "It's in Appendix C, Section 47, Biological Imperatives and Cultural Responses," Grant replied. "A Verilan entering reproductive phase while in human residence is considered a great honor in their culture. It indicates exceptional compatibility." "I don't want to be compatible. I want a normal roommate who doesn't glow in the dark and proposition me." Officer Grant's smile tightened. "Citizen Riker, perhaps I should remind you that under the Treaty of New Geneva, Earth has committed to full cultural respect for Velian biological needs. Rejecting these needs could be interpreted as a violation of treaty provisions."